right, that'll be a bet. We have, before we get into the top 75 players of all time, we have breaking news coming in from the Suns. They have released a statement through their Twitter account, and it says, "We understand that an outlet is considering publishing a proposed story that makes completely baseless claims against the Suns organization concerning a variety of topics. Documentary evidence in our possession and eyewitness accounts directly contradicts the reporter's accusation, and we are preparing our response to his questions. We urge everyone not to rush to judgment here, especially based on lies, innuendo, and a false narrative to attack our organization and its leadership."
Hey,
Just to clarify, I paused at his because two out of the three allegations made against him were both sexism and sexual misconduct. So I assumed that this had to either do with a woman who was working as a reporter or a woman who worked for the company, or the team. I was not expecting to hear his questions, and we do know that it's a reporter's accusation, so it's yeah. I guess we'll learn more about this as the days go on. If it's anything like the John Gruden story, it will drop as the Suns are playing the Lakers on ESPN tonight. We can make this. You get halftime updates from Stephen A. Smith as they're talking. Moving on. As I said before the break, we have our last week. Well, I shouldn't say last week. Wednesday, we talked about putting together our list of top 15 players. I know James has his list. I'm not sure if Gerald, you have your list too. I have a top 10, and I guess I can get a top 15 while y'all are talking. But I have a top 10. I guess James, you can go first.
okay. I have Mike, LeBron, Kareem. Those are kind of interchangeable. Russell, Kobe, Magic, Shaq, Duncan, Wilt, Durant, Bird, Curry, Hakeem, Moses, and then Dirk. And then my honorable mentions were Giannis and Garnett, just because I put Dirk in there. So
Yeah.
I think Dirk and Garnett are pretty interchangeable. And then Giannis is on his way up. So, I mean, this could change by next year, but especially if he wins another one over Durant. So, the reason I had Kobe in my top 5 and over Magic is because Magic said so. I understand we don't have to agree with everything somebody says in the public eye, but I think I see Magic as somebody who's pretty genuine about that sort of thing. He called him the greatest Laker of all time, so that's just kind of what it is. And then I had some Magic above Shaq just because of the rings. Wilt. The reason I had Wilt so low is because he has a lot of obscure records, like that's true, but he has like 2 rings, and then like he's not all-time leader in scoring, and then like there are dudes who are higher than him on the scoring list, and I think to account for era too, you probably got to have him a little bit lower. I wouldn't argue if you had him higher. And then Durant I had Bird between Durant and Curry, because I think Durant is definitely a better scorer than Bird with 4 scoring titles. And then the only thing Bird has, I think, ahead of Durant at this point is the MVPs, because I have the same amount of Finals MVPs, but Bird had like three quality MVP seasons in a row. And then towards the end, like Hakeem, Moses, and Dirk. I mean, Moses got 3 MVPs. I mean, I understand. It's just it's really a lot of like that era. You got Kareem in that era, and kind of he it's it's whatever you want to do. So it's just kind of my top 15 and the reasons I had it.
Yeah. But yeah, so for mine, I started with Jordan, like yours. LeBron's at 2. Kareem's at 3. I do have Magic at 4. I do understand the thing about, Magic said Kobe was better. But for me, I just feel like everything that Magic had over his career added on to just how versatile his game was. I had to put Magic at the number 4 spot. I have Russell at 5, although he's pretty interchangeable with Magic. I think you do have to adjust to the year, obviously, and the time period he played in. But I do think even with that, his statistics are so glaring, you can't really just look over it. So I got him at 5. This is probably going to be a shocker. I do have Duncan at 6. Like when I started this, I thought he was going to be either 8 or 9. But man, his resume is ridiculous. And he is one of the most fundamentally sound players in the NBA. Like, you're not going to look up a Tim Duncan mixtape, but like he did almost everything, not flawlessly, but really well. One of the closest players to ever get a quadruple double. Yeah, I just got Duncan at 6. This one could be biased. I got Bird at 7. The 3 straight MVPs is just a really glaring thing to ignore. Obviously, his career got cut short, but I just think everything he was able to accomplish in his short period of time warrants him at 7. Kobe, I have at 8. This one's probably going to piss off a lot of people, but I think Kobe was good. I think Kobe, talent-wise, is probably better than a lot of people above him. It's just really hard to ignore, like, the first 2 rings were really, like, Shaq's rings, and then he had that real drought where it was like he was good, but he didn't really win a lot in terms of, like, awards as well as playoff success. So it was just, I think 8's fine for him. I don't think it's too low. I just don't think I'm overrating him a bit. Wilt's at 9, again, like Russell, adjusting for the era. I got Shaq at 10, Curry at 11, Hakeem at 12. I've got Dr. J at 13. I think he's forgotten, but if we're counting his ABA stuff, I think it's hard to leave him off a list like this. I got KD at 14, and I got Moses at 15.
Okay. I got Michael Jordan at 1, LeBron at 2, Kareem at 3, Russell at 4, Magic Johnson at 5. I have Duncan at 6, Kobe at 7, Shaq at 8. 9 and 10, I struggle a little bit. I ended up putting Larry Bird at 9 ahead of Durant just because of what you mentioned, Gerald, the 3 straight MVPs. That's kind of hard, but I could see those interchangeable. 11, I had Hakeem. 12, I had Giannis. Again, I had struggled with Hakeem and Giannis just because I feel like in a year or 2, I would probably put Giannis ahead of Hakeem, especially if he gets another MVP. 13, I have Steph. 14, 15, again, where I could interchangeably change them like differently around, even though they're completely different players. I ended up putting Moses at 14 and Dr. J at 15, but I could see them being interchanged.
The biggest questions I had for y'all were like Curry and Durant and really Magic and Bird, just because I think you got some resume versus better stuff there. Like I think Larry Bird is probably a better player than Magic Johnson. I just think if you could take like race out of it and you just take like the emotions you get from those 2 guys out of it, I think all in all, like Bird was a better scorer, and then he kind of he the playmaking was, I think, was about equal, in my opinion. But Magic definitely has the better resume. But my thing is like Magic played with Kareem, right? And like, I just went on my rant about McHale, but I mean McHale's not Kareem. That's just what it is. I think that was the tiebreaker in what a lot of stuff. And also like Durant and Curry, like we saw them play on the same team, and Durant was better, just no doubt. But
Yeah.
he just doesn't have the resume that Curry or the impact that Curry had on the game. So I just wonder what you guys thought about that.
I would say the thing about going in first, I think the thing about Curry changing the game, I think is definitely important. But I also think your ability to change the way that we play is not necessarily like your impact on the game and how we play can sometimes be greater than your resume. Like I think
Okay.
there are very few players, like there are players ahead of people. I think Curry's probably changed the game more than Bird did, but I don't feel like he has a good of resume as Bird does at this point. So I think those sometimes like his importance on the game outweighs what his actual resume. In terms of Magic and Bird, I did take age into account to a certain degree. Your ability
Oh
to
man.
your ability to reach your peak at a certain point earlier than somebody else was, I think that does count for something. Your ability to get there and stay there earlier in your career does have to certain to agree to effect. And while I do agree with you, Kevin McHale wasn't Hakeem. Like some of the teams that Larry Bird played on were some of the greatest teams to ever step foot on the court. It's like I get the individual players, but the sum of the parts is
No doubt, no doubt.
is just as good. It's like I wouldn't be mad putting like Bird ahead of Magic, but Magic sustained what he did, and also the year when his career kind of got shut down, it gradually happened as opposed to like what I feel like happened with Bird. He had a brick wall, which is back, and it was out. Magic's brick wall was HIV, but at that point he was already on the downside of his career, so it was
right
pretty much null and void at that point. And I guess
and then,
there you go.
and I was gonna say another reason I say that is because the East was tougher than the West too.
That's true.
I mean, like, yeah, Magic got hurt, but like Magic ended up losing to Mike. Magic ended up losing to Isaiah. And I don't, and it's weak. Like, yeah, he got a finals appearance out of those two. So like the resume looks a little bit different, but they lost to the same people. You know what I'm saying? And then Magic got upset by the Rockets twice. I want to say that was twice. So yeah, so Bird ended up playing the Rockets twice when he should have been playing the Lakers twice. So that's just I don't know. I just think about that too. But I got Magic ahead of Bird. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I mean, like I follow a similar logic to Ryan. Again, it's part of the reason I have him at 7 is just because like his career was short, but what he was able to do against the competition, it's hard to really sort of gloss over or ignore that. I guess the ending of it would really be like, yeah, I do think Bird probably was a better player than Magic, but I don't think you can really knock Magic because like he just played for so long at such a sustained peak. It's hard to really kind of just, I guess, downplay it would be the right word for it. Like I can't blame Bird for having the back injury, but you got to give Magic props for sustaining for as long as he did, I guess. That makes sense.
Sure.
I guess
And then the reason I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the other thing I was gonna say is like I think where we're headed is kind of it feels like the top however many is I wouldn't say 11 or 12 is kind of set. The people that are kind of getting pushed out. It feels like at this point are Hakeem, Moses, Julius, those like group of people.
Yeah. I would say I got Durant so high because one, he's 2-1 against Brian. That's just what it is. I mean, if you feel your way about the Golden State thing, that's fine. That's fine, whatever. But he's 2-1 against Brian in the finals. Also, it kind of reminds me of like Zeke. Like obviously he's got 4 scoring titles. He's one of the greatest scorers of all time. He's he's that. But you can't take what I mean by that is there is a parallel with Zeke, like Isaiah Thomas, because Isaiah Thomas is 2-1 against Mike. You know what I'm saying? You can't take that away from him. You know what I'm saying? Like you may not think like Isaiah Thomas is as good as Michael Jordan. Of course not. I don't think that. And I don't think he would be, ranked ahead of Michael Jordan than anybody, But the 2-1 against Mike, like that'll put you ahead of some people. You feel me?
I agree with that to a
So
degree.
that's why I'm saying, like, with Durant, it's like if you think LeBron is LeBron, if you think LeBron's on the same level as Mike, like, okay, you got to give Durant his props.
I mean, but couldn't you make that same argument? Okay, go ahead.
No, you can go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, but wouldn't that also contribute to the argument of why we kind of rank Curry a bit ahead of KD because he's also 3-1 against Bron?
I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. That's cool. I mean, that's cool too. But I just think, like, out of those 3, like, okay, out of those 3, like, Durant was the best player in 3 of those. Oh, no, in 2 of those. So, like, I just think the context of, like, Durant extending the Warriors' run after 16 is real. Like, I think the Warriors were done after 16, man.
I think they could have, because I think they probably would have made the finals still. Like, I know a lot of people were high on that Rockets team. I still think with or without KD, they most likely get past them. I'm not saying they would, but I still think they get past them.
They don't get past Oklahoma City if Durant plays for Oklahoma City. That's my point.
That assumes that KD and Russ stay healthy.
That also assumes that they want to work together again, because he also could have left to Boston. Like, we don't know.
That's true.
Like,
I'm just saying, like, let's say KD joins the Rockets, though.
Did they have the cap space?
It was some. I don't know. I'm
I know you're spitballing. I got you. Right.
I'm just saying, like, let's say he stays in Oklahoma City or he joins the Rockets. Like, are we talking? Like, and I'm not saying I'm not doing anything against Curry. It's just like we saw them play on the same team and we knew who was better from day one. It really wasn't none of that, like, Dwayne Wade, LeBron stuff where we were like, okay, whose team is it? Who's going to take the last shot? We were like, nah, bro. Like, nah. Like, Durant, they won 67 games, and we were like, nah, Durant's that dude. So that's just my argument for that. And I understand if you have an argument against that. I'm just saying, like, I mean, my only point is you got to give both of those dudes those props if you think LeBron is what LeBron is, which I think we can all agree, like, LeBron and Mike are probably equivalent just playing basketball.
I give them the credit for that, with also the understanding that there wasn't a team that, like, if we're putting him on the level of Mike, there wasn't a team that Mike played in the finals that was better than his.
Right.
In those series against the Warriors, I understand that LeBron had Kyrie and he had Kevin Love in the second 2. But there's a big difference between having Steph and Clay and Draymond and having Kyrie and what you get from Kevin Love on a night-to-night basis, which is what it is. Not to say he's not a great player, but it's a difference. There's a difference there. Like,
I understand what you're saying. All I'm saying is we only having this discussion because it's free agency. But if Oklahoma City had drafted Curry, or if Oklahoma City had drafted Clay, we'd just be calling them a dynasty the way we talk about Michael Jordan's Bulls. You know what I'm saying? We don't really, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like the Mahomes thing, right? We always talk about how Mahomes got all this talent. Yeah, but Mahomes is able to do stuff because he's Mahomes. That's how I feel about Durant. It's like, yeah, he had the best team, but part of the reason it was the best team is because Durant was on there. You feel me?
No, I understand what you're saying.
That's
We
all I'm
get you.
saying.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. You know, that's it. It's a mixture of team building and like having the right pieces too. Like
Right.
I don't think Durant's better than LeBron, but I do think that, you know, I mean, if you're gonna go against the greatest player ever and come out 2 out of 3, like you got to get some props there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
All right. That kind of wraps up things. We have, as I said on the Wednesday show, we have boxing tomorrow. We got Shakur Stevenson and Jamil Herring, my favorite boxer at the moment. If you have not had the chance to watch Shakur Stevenson, I implore you to go watch Shakur Stevenson because he is entertaining both in and out of the ring. Also in Atlanta, they still got tickets. Go get yourself a ticket. Go out, have a nice night, because not like y'all care about COVID anyway. And beyond that, last night was the night that I gave up on my Broncos for the season. So there's that. But we got Tyson Chiefs this weekend. Yeah, so it's a good weekend of sports. Go enjoy it. I will be in here listening to the Wild album, probably with an edible and some food. But I enjoy y'all to go have some good times this weekend. Again, thank you so much for listening to the show. Thank you, my co-hosts Gerald and James. And I'll talk to you again next week. Peace.